these three objects, and then we have Suzanne. Suzanne is actually inbuilt monkey, and I thought I haven't talked about the monkey yet, but it's a cute monkey, right? So you can find him, her, whatever, when you add a mesh, and there is Suzanne somewhere. Where's Suzanne? Monkey here. That's Suzanne. So welcome, Suzanne. You will be the one who I hope will help us to understand today the complexity of 3D viewport 3D models and the UV madness, what we kind of saw the first time yesterday. For some of you was the first time, so I think it was confusing. Okay, so we concentrate on just this one now. And when I go in the edit mode and I will select all with A, I see now I have this like a box, you know, outlined. It's like to fold it together, and then you have the 3D representation of this UV. I will switch this off so you will see it, and I will also switch on this so you will see it. And it has already textures. We will go into that. But what we see is, usually I would think of, well, I just have this area of the image, why it is colored everywhere, even if it's in the dark. This is called tiling, or maybe it's the wrong word, but it's like this texture will repeat. So it always shows this area, but it can also be repeated, you know. And when you go outside, you can also switch, you know, you can also, because it's on each side the same almost. So this texture is going up the same way as down the same way, and then it goes also this direction. So when I go this way, it will always have its texture. Yeah. And when we go to shading, let's see it on, I think I showed it on that one. This is the node system. So this is the ball now, but I show you this part here. So every mapping has its location in this 2D view. Yeah, so we have this 2D view again. This is the same thingy like before. We will also take this texture, what we wanted to show. And the texture has a specific direction. You can also scale it down or not. Let's do this here. Let's make the same thingy over here. So there is a short, there's an add-on called Node Wrangler. It just helps you to just put that with one click. So it's Command T. I will write down then this add-on for you. And now when I will, for instance, let's make this a little bit bigger, and I will smaller that. It's just this one. Wait, we have to go to my base color here. Yeah. So this is this mapping, and I kind of, yeah, there it is. Yeah. And if I want it to be smaller, I have my mapping, and it goes from my UV. So this is my UV. You can also add from different perspectives, like it will map it from the camera perspective or from the object. Complicated, just remember now the UV. And if I will scale that down, you will see it starts to change. And I have to also do that here, so it's actually the same proportion also with the other images. Let's wait for it. Yeah. And when I scale that, you know, they will change, and you can see that it will repeat more often, and it can also go bigger. Yeah. So the mapping actually works like a pattern. So this will repeat over time. Yeah. So we don't need that because I think it's too much. And when we go back to our UV editing, we see that we can also scale that down. Let's do this, but we scale it like so. And somehow you can also make it here like this, you know. So we do now the same thing like we did with the mapping. Just we scale the object, not the UV. Yeah. You know. So this is actually the same process. And you see, these are the tiles. These are these patterns here. They will repeat here, you know. And this is this box. What else has this box in its shader menu? I just made a glance here. I will make my screen a little bit bigger, and I will kill that here. And I will keep that really small so you can see something here. And yeah, so over there, and we have some light. So we see also that there's happening something. It's reflecting something. We can also play around with the light. Let's do this. Let's go back like so and get my light. So that's my showcase light. There you go. Thank you. So we see there's happening something. And we use now, there are different shader types, and shaders is hard to explain what shaders are. It's a node-based system, and it tells actually the object how it is reflecting light. Yes, so it can reflect less or more, how it is metal, and you can give them informations. You can give them images, which are like here. This is this image, but it's a kind of contrasting for the specific parts of metalness. Let's switch that off here. This is the color texture, you see. It gives the object the color. You can also switch that off as we did that with materials and give him that just this color. That's red. Now we just have this, maybe that helps too. Now we just have this, this normal map, but we will get into that. So let's switch off the normal map. So we just concentrate on these two now. And also this one up. There you go. This is just the color. Yeah. And now we added, add a search for image texture. So we need an image texture. We will add an image here. So we can go click on this icon. It was nested in the blend file so that you have it, but usually it looks like this. And then you can search your image, add it here. It's the power of 2. I will explain that at the last part. And then we connect. There are this yellow approach, and there is also yellow. And the node system functions like this. Think about a black box with some sliders, and there is the input side and there's the output side. Yeah? And some are just some are, for instance, this node has just an input because it is an output node. And this principal PSDF shader is actually can have its own philosophy, but it can also get inputs that you can make cool stuff like adding your own colors or your own texture. And why we need this UV map? Then they don't know where to put the texture. So the communication between textures in 2D and 3D is this weird approach what we showed today with the UV map. We need the communication from when we want to add textures to our 3D mesh, that we have to have a UV map. You can also see that here in this menu, Object Data Properties, and here we have our UV map. And if this, there I can kill it, and if this is not here, your information is gone and the object doesn't know where to put it because it has no information from the mapping. So we will do that again. We will map it again because I killed it. So we will do an UV, and now I'll do Smart UV Project. This is a common case when you have no UV map. I would recommend using Smart UV Project. And it does this now. So Smart UV Project means it looks the best way how to fill up your space around the texture. And now we changed a lot of this because it's smaller now than it was before. This one. It should not be an sRGB because you just don't have colors here. What you could do is use this one and add it just directly to the liking. So you can add it actually to roughness. You can add it also to metal or to specular. For specular, you can also do gray scale. It doesn't have to be that high key. So it doesn't have to be just black and white. It can also have gray. So you can really play around with your textures, right? So you put it in GIMP or in Photoshop, make a black and white image out of it, add it here and try out what happens if you invert it. There's also a node for that in Blender. Search invert. and we can add that here. What happens now? Let's make it bigger a little bit. Now it's a lot shinier, right? Because we just inverted the black and white. And I can also adjust it here. So you can really play around with the nodes. And honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Photoshop. Just we don't have layers, we have these funny little nodes. Yeah. And now I can say, okay, I take the green and use that for the roughness. And what happens if I take the red from my texture to this one? So it somehow kind of constructs it differently. And now I have a little bit metal here, and you can play around with that. And how to get this, three-dimensional, the texture, that it looks like it's stony and it has some holes and it has some like a moon surface. Then we usually use, there's pump map and there's normal map. I think the newer version is this normal mappy thing, especially for web. They use mostly normal maps, so I'm really concentrated on normal maps. We have also height maps, which are just telling the vertices to go just this direction, so Z direction. And the normal map does something weird because it looks like this. I think it has this this color code for going to specific directions, and then when you happen to add that, it will make your object much more interesting. So we have now this structure. If you can see, I will go a little bit higher and slower. Then you can see it starts to be more organic. And I constructed all these textures by myself. I will show you after this materialize thingy, but this program, what I showed yesterday, and other things, but in the end, so that you get relaxed, and then we go into another screen. So yeah, but the normal map needs also this kind of transformation. So it needs to get into this black box normal map. So you can't just put it here, because you see they have also different colors. So this is a vector 3, that's why it's yellow. And this is, when I put that off, I think it also has a vector, but it's XYZ, and this is RGB. So there is this transformation node. And you put it in the color, and the strength is the lighting you want to do. So we add on a normal map again, and now we have our stony approach, and that looks also cool here. It's nice. There you go. This is middle mouse for dragging, press middle mouse, and zooming is the mouse wheel, there it says, or with the trackpad, just with 2 fingers, or with plus and minus on the numpad. If you don't have a numpad, remember that you can actually add that here, the numpad. I just say it again because I thought maybe that's helpful. Here in inputs, in preference inputs, you can emulate the numpad, and then you can do the plus and minus, and that's why I love having that. Okay, so we can actually duplicate also things like in the 3D part with Shift D and duplicate it and use it the way we can select all of them and drag it, and yeah, so is there any questions to the cube? Because otherwise I will follow up the next stage of this ballish approach here. For instance, this one is my painting I did in 2020. So, and I added it just to this sphere. Let's look into its UV. And it has also a little bit texture on it. It's transparent. Trying out to destroy it. This is always fun in Blender, that you destroy things. So I will start scaling that down. What happens there? Yeah, you have a different mapping. Yeah. Looks interesting because now some parts of transparency went there. So I will leave it, just for you to be not scared to touch it, because I was that at the beginning. So, I don't want to touch the UV, it's terrible, But make always a copy. Remember, you can always, I didn't do it because I won't save this file, but you can always go and make a new copy and make a version. That's version 1. And then we add our sphere thing with duplicate. We can just copy paste here, don't ask me why. So, and this is my version, and now I can just destroy this one as I like to. And yeah, you get the idea. So this has this really easy way, and there I scale it down, and I have not found yet how to undo everything, because the sphere project was not, I think it's the cube project. Ooh, that's not it. So you can also play around what happens if you start doing something. Let's do the smart UV project. It does something really different now. So it tries to find some tiles or some islands of this sphere, and gives it this way. So it's abstract now. But I try to get back to my original one, but it doesn't do that. I had that once too, but I think it doesn't do that. I will find. I think we don't have. We will just leave it now. But anyhow, so this is the approach with the sphere. We'll look at this again. That was nicer. Yeah, this is the sphere. And let's look into the material because this looks interesting. So let's go to our shading. And let's concentrate on that with slash, you know. And we want, because when I put slash, then also my lights go away, so I don't like that. So I will switch off the scene world, so my Blender presets will pop up. And now we have this edgy, funny texture because I messed it up. And now we have this texture here. So this is my texture. It's transparent. It's a PNG with alpha. I will go into Photoshop. So, and in Photoshop, I have, because I exported that from another program, and you can just draw on transparency. I will just do that here now. I will make me a new layer, B. Let's take, it's slow. There. So I will paint. And now I just painted here, and you see this grid in the back, and that suggests that it's transparent. Then you can save that for web, Command Alt Shift S. And here you don't have to be always squared, you know, for Blender. You can just think of the power of 2. So 512, yeah, and 2 times is 1024, 1024, and 2048. And I won't go further than that for web. I mean, you can also go then 1048, 4096, but I think this is the really maximum what 3GS can draw, and then it gets slow, right? So also Photoshop gets slow. So I would stick to 1024 as max, or maximum if you really have, like, say, a whole room to scan and you want it a little bit more detailed, then 2048 is okay. But otherwise I would go down. So I will go down because it's just my little ball, so I don't care. So I will go, height is 512 and my width is 1024. It's transparent. It is marked here. I think in GIMP it's similar than that, and I would save it. I won't save it because I don't need that now because I have my funny transparent texture. Okay, so it's transparent, and it needs to have this alpha, because this alpha we can tell let's make this a little bit smaller here, because this alpha is also in the principal shader here, and you see it has also an input. So I will give the input from my image, which has an alpha, because it knows that, to the principal shader, which will transform it. And usually, if you do that the first time, it would usually look like this. So it would be then black. Yeah, instead of white transparency, it's black. So when it doesn't know what to do, it's black. And in the shader menu, so if you click on your material and you see the base color here, so it's the same. This is the same like this. See? So you have the inputs field. So you have your weak PNG. You can also add here, I think, well, I never did that here, so I have to, yeah. You can also add here in the base color your image, right? And this is the same like this node here, see? And if I change something here, it will change here. So it's the same, just another representation, like a quick view. You know, this is the detail when you get crazy with the mapping and you can add nodes and in between nodes, and you won't see that here. You see just the result of this principal shader, this one. Okay, and let's change the subsurface. You see it's changing. Metal, yeah, it's also doing something here. I just don't have so much space. I wish I could have a little bit more space, so you will see. So if I change something here, it will change here, and they're kind of the same. Okay, and then we have also here in the roughness our image. This is this JPEG, it's a non-color, and we can also access it here, you know. We can change, maybe let's try if we do this, I don't know what happens then. It will map differently, so we'll go back to flat, then we see that again, okay. And then we have down, 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 then we have settings. So it's also a drop down, there's a lot. So just search for settings, and in the settings, there we have the blend mode, and we have also this backface cooling. Use backface cooling to hide the backside of faces. So let's say I go inside and, you know, I see my world. It's so cool. Let's make that big. Yeah, you know, I can go outside and I can go inside. So it's drawn 2 times. It's drawn on that side, which is really inviting, you know, because I'm inside of a uterus, let's say, and I go outside and I see it as well. If I switch that off, so I switch that on, confusing, it's gone because it's just drawn on one side. I can also switch the normals with flip. If you don't find something in Blender, I will show you quickly this. You have to press F3, yeah, or space bar in some cases if you change that in the menu. And then this will show up. That's helpful if you, and I will go flip. You have to go in edit mode, yeah, free and flip. And now it's the other way around. This was the trick what I did yesterday with the cube, right? You can have always an inside watch of the inside, you know, but in the outside it's not drawn because we just have backface cooling on. And why we have to do this, but I mean, why is this here? It is for rendering. If you do, let's say, a game, and you have a lot of assets like trees and floor and the character and the houses and the cars and the light and the water coming and the wind simulation, whatever. And you have a lot of assets in there. That's why usually you have to use backface cooling so that you just render one side of the mesh, that it's not getting too enormously calculating the whole scene, and then it's not so slow. That's the trick. That's why they do this backface cooling. It's new for you, for some of you, because we usually draw on a paper, and when we go the backside, we're happy that we can draw on the backside. In that sense, it sometimes is no need for that. So that's why this is here. Okay. And for the blend mode, we have different approaches here. And one is this alpha band. There's also alpha clip. Let's see what happens here. It will clip everything hard edged. Let's switch off the backface cooling. It's really hard edgy. See that? It has this ugly white outliner for some parts because it makes a really hard cut. It's like black and white, not more. If you do the alpha bending tool, then it gets a little bit more creamy and you have a more interesting approach like here. So you get really interesting transparency here. Yeah? And that's the whole trick. And what else we have here? As I said, we have another mapping. And why we need to do a mapping here? Because if I would switch that off, it would be really big. You see this? There are big holes, and it's not so nice because when we go to our UV editor, and we go to our image, what we just looked at. So we have to switch to the image again, so we know the name. So please do your namings, otherwise you get crazy here. So you get, yeah. It's quite the UV mapping, it's doing its job, but I'm not happy with it because I want that really small, right? So what should I do now? I will scale that up. But what happens, also my color texture will scale up and that gets completely messy. Oh, I like the approach actually. I will remember that. So it looks interesting. But I don't want that approach. So I could do a new UV map and bake it, but there's another trick. You just tell the shader that you use a new mapping just for this image here. And this image goes then to the roughness and gives you this little dotty nice approach. So I will use my mapping. I scaled it up like crazy, you see. You know, I scaled it here. You can also scale it down, loop, you know, and then you can play around and you not touch the color texture. So this is a nice trick. And the plugin where it pops up like this, I mean, you can also, so you just go Shift A and search for mapping, then you do your mapping and then you search for texture, and Node Wrangler does some helpful shortcodes for you that you quicker. So it's just a quick node, a quick add-on. So it gives you just quick inputs to be quicker with your approach. So it's Node Wrangler. And there you have also description, documentation, and can go into detail with this. So Node Wrangler is something where you can just, let's kill this again. Oops. Command T, ta-da, and then it's there. You don't have to search for it, it's just there. Happy. And then I just scale again and make it to my liking. I'm in the UV thingy, I'm happy. So this is the approach with this. And I think with this simple idea that you have just these two nodes and this alpha image and you reduce it to a size which is suitable for object in web, it's actually a nice approach and you can really work with that and get crazy creative as you would like to. I will show you quickly how to add a nice scene. So we'll make a mesh, make a plane. Where's my plane? There it is. Go to my front view. I will pull all these up, G, Z, whoop. There's a hidden thingy I don't need. Where's my plane? If you can't find something in here, you will find it somewhere here, and we scale that, and we will go to our top view, and then we have our, let's put it a little bit here, and then we go to our edit mode, go to our thingy, and EZ, sorry, you want to extrude because you want to add a new wall, let's say, and just a little quick view for you to be a little bit more into a studio setting. And then we have the bevel. We press Command B, and then we bevel and scroll wheel to make it soft. There you go. This is your setting, and now we have a little bit lightning a little bit better, so we can add go out of the edit mode and add and look also with shadows and see that the materials a little bit more coming out of glance. No? Okay. And I will scale that also on the set, so it's a little bit bigger. So when we go to our camera, because I prepared a camera for you, because at the beginning, when I started Blender, I had really problems positioning the camera, because you can also go in this view, you see, and I will pull it a little bit up. So I click on the camera, I click on it, right? I click here on it. And because I'm in that view, I can press G, and then I can go up. This is really nice. How do you adjust the things? And now we will concentrate on the monkey. So we will pull that away. Let's go away here a little bit. So these are not so interesting anymore. These, they're just the side actors, and this is the front actor now. There you go. This is our monkey. Suzanne. Suzanne is an inbuilt mesh in Blender, and it's really popular. And since the beginning of Blender, it's there, so it has its tradition. So this is Suzanne, and for sure you saw it a lot of times also in tutorials. let's take Suzanne, you know. And I give it also a texture. Let's go into detail with this one. And I will make it simple. I added a texture. So let's disconnect this. We will go into more detail with this. So now it has no texture. And I will give it this texture now as a texture. So I added a texture like so. New texture, I gave it a name, and I gave it 2024. That's also the suggestion. And if you want to have a transparent texture, and this is something I never saw in a tutorial, just from Ian Hubert, who's a really cool guru guy because he does it for 20 years, and for film industry, he's really funny. I will send you also his tutorial because he did a tutorial about texture painting. And there we can add the alpha down, and then it is actually transparent. Otherwise it is not transparent, okay? But I prepared already an image for you, so it's this one. And I will plug that in to my base. And when we look at our UV of the monkey, let's go to our monkey. Where is the monkey? There's the monkey. And Blender has done this for you, a really nice UV map of an organic thing. And it looks really confusing. Where is the paintbrush? There you go. So it looks really confusing, yeah? So we have this face, so this is the representation of the face. Let's do something here. Let's go out of my X-ray. Where is my X-ray? Ah, thank you. So you see it better. So if you want to select something and you want to just select the eye around it, you can press Command plus, and then you will select the eye. See? And actually it's one mesh in here. And now we have the island, the eye. So this is the eye island. If I go to this one and I press plus, we start to see how the faces are constructed on the UV. And there's no color. And this is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna color it. We're gonna paint on it. And it's really fun. And I prepared, the Blender prepared for that the texture paint tool over here, the texture paint workspace over here. And yeah, I constructed already something, but I'm too fast for you. So let's go into the paint. Let's kill that one. And we go into our brushes. And we have our, let's see, there, our mask. Yeah, and we can actually paint on it. It's white now, you won't see anything, so we take another color. And the cool thing is you can really paint on the texture, and you see how it's transforming here. When I paint on it, it starts coloring my texture, which I just created in my shader. So I created an image, I called it the way I wanted to, so I called it paintbrush texture. It's 1022 pixels. And when I go to my paintbrush, I put it here. So I added my texture for my material. I added it here. I also did my extra work because for you and you can also add texture masks. So this is the question from you, Susanne, for masking, what's alpha. So in that sense, you can also make your own paintbrushes, which is really cool, where you can decide which image you can draw on it. You see, that's it's like this blob. It's a blob. The more it's procedural, so the more you go inside, it goes, you know, more pixeled, and the more you go out. Be careful not to go that out and make this. If you have a slow computer, that it will freeze. So we will save that now. And yeah, you can paint, and then you can take another color. Woohoo! And you can actually, you know, graffiti on it. Whee! Yeah. You can also take your pad, you know, if you have a drawing pad and draw on it. You can do things a lot to get, you know, crazy, and you get the idea how that works here. See, if you go or edit mode, and yeah, you can paint your monkey. Mrs. Suzanne, you can get crazy with it. Let's say I want to add a graffiti or a picture on the monkey, right? This is a question what Libby also asked, how to can on a specific, let's say on his head, let's make it a little bit more one color. So I will take this greenish one. So let's say I want to add an image on the head of the monkey. Yeah. So this is the head. You see, this is the texture, the weird UV thingy. And I just want to add an image, which I want to add here and use it here. When you construct texture painting materials for this tool, it's over here. It's called Active Tool and Workspace Settings. This is always when you are in the tool set over here. So there is also draw. This is also soften. So let's try soften, blah, blah, blah. You can soften it out. Be careful with this because it takes a lot of CPU. And you can also stamp, you know, you can stamp with command and then you stamp, yeah, with command, not with alt. In Photoshop, it's alt, but here it's command. Yeah, you can stamp. And if you have already a nice motif, you can stamp it. And there's another tool, you can just color it. So I will just color it, and now it's just a color. Yeah? And when we want to save that, we have to go to image, because here is a little star. You see in the image, because we painted on it. And there's this star. And it suggests you to save the file, because otherwise it will be gone. If you open up the file again from Blender and you not saved this image, then it will be gone. So you have to save it as, so let's do this first, and maybe my texture will pop up again. JPEG, textures, and always be precise. You see, be consistent with the things and save. Here we go. And now I will open up the old file, because I saved that, to just find out what happened to my texture. Ah yeah, there it says it doesn't save. But it's okay, I have saved it in my other file. So file, open, recent. And we'll go back. That's why you always do versions, because then you don't get so confused. So now let's go to my texture paint. And here is textures now. Well, anyhow. So yeah, you can do tiles and PNGs and put it here. So this is the link with this tool here. You're still following me? And you can also add another tool, like another image, let's say this image. And with the right mouse, you can move the image. With command right mouse, you can rotate the image. Let's do this again. And do my shortcode. Why I always have to add this? This is so bad. It's a bad shortcode plugin. So anyhow, and I'm not satisfied with this image. So let's take another image. Let's take let's search for one image. Let's get there. We have my image saved from before. And I want to get into another graffiti like this one. I like this one. You can, I think you have this involved, but you can add any, or this one. This is also cool. Let's do this. So, and now it's stretched. What you can do with that, you go back to your tool setting, to the menu, which is already there again, and reset transformation. And now it's proportion. And now I can paint like this, and then I go to that side, and I can scale with, I think, Alt and, no, it was, Command, Shift, it was Shift, right click and drag, Shift, right click, drag, there you go. With right click, you just move it, and with Command right click, at the same time pressed, you can rotate it. And then you can paint. Woohoo! So fun! I love that. Yay! And now it works, and I don't know why the menu went away. That's the magic, that's the mystery of Blender. Sometimes things disappear because you pressed something and forgot the one button to press. So that's why I put that for you, Seth, because I'm also not so familiar with texture painting. I use it many times, but I always forget where to click because it's not so intuitive, because you have here the menu to add your textures, and then you have here the menu to do this, and then you have here a menu to draw. This is like really confusing. And you only can access this menu when you press this one. It will appear like so. It's not transparent though, because it just suggested you to be a transparent PNG from Google, but it's not. So you can rotate and you can scale with Shift right click. There you go. It's fun, right? It's like, yeah, I think all of you have some approach with drawing or with I don't know, photography, and you can easily, make your really unique texture with texture painting. And that's why I wanted to show you that. I have a really good tutorial on that, and Ian Huberts I will write it in the chat. So we have to save. Don't forget to save, because otherwise your magic painting on the surface is gone. So we save that again, and we can make many versions of it. So we'll call this text 0.2 with underscore. I always save things with underscore, so I never make a space in it, because when it comes to coding, this is painful if you have that. It can make some bugs. So always name your things proper. Let's say also in a specific way, like you can have the camel way that you make one letter like this, and yeah, and a counting number, because then it's easier for programmers to just add it to the thing. And if this is always named differently, they have to rename it. This is just an experience I did, because I was like naming it that way, and then he always screamed with me, so please, can you take one naming system? So yeah, and I will save that also as a PNG, because it's transparent, and it is transparent, as you see. And why it is transparent, because if you try that by yourself, I will repeat that. If you go to your shader and you kill that one and you make a new one, and you click into the color, because now it's black, that means that is the background of it, and you pressed your alpha, but it has still a color, right? So it's just having as an alpha, but it's a color, and you have to get rid of this color and put the alpha to 0, and then it's transparent, right? So don't forget that, because otherwise you will have a background and then you have to key it out after and stuff like that. So use this monkey funny texture and go to materialize. Also not that intuitive, because it took me like a half an hour to find out where to add things. So this O means open, and P, I don't know, print, I don't know. Yeah. So don't be frustrated. I will tell you. O is for open the texture, so I open the texture, and I go to my desktop and search for my, so we can edit here, and you see, you can see this is the diffuse map. In Blender, it's actually the colored map, the base color. And then we have the normal map, and we can create just this one when we created a height map. Let's create a height map. So we create just from this texture, it will automatically create your height map. So this is the, and there you have always the slider to see, and you can, I think with right mouse, also move this part here. So if it comes to the normal map, you will see the pumping, and you can always adjust it. So it's really convenient here. And now we can play around. I will suggest nothing here, because I just also play around here. And then I set here as a height map. Then I have my height map. Then I create my normal map, and then it's this, and it's easy to use. But I think we all used to Photoshop as well, and you can make all these textures also in Photoshop. But it's not something for downloading for Mac. It's not, right? Oh, sad. I will look up if there is a similar approach than this for Mac. I just found this lately and I thought like awesome. I will show that to you. And you can save them with S. You can save the files separately here. I will also add a metal map like so. And I will do this a little bit slower. Set the metal map. I forgot where to see the whole scene. Show full map material there. Whoa, weird. I did this. I did this a little bit to hide, I think so. And yeah, that's the cool part about this tool because you can just finally see immediately the result, right? And this is quite cool. So show material, yeah, and there it is. It's black, so it's inverted. I don't know how to devert it. So this is a process you just get crazy and play around. So I can save the map and I will and name it. You have to name it and name it monkey, monkey, and select. And last time I did that, it was not there and I was confused, but I think it should actually work. They will come. They're creating here. So yeah, and this is how you create your own textures. So what I did, you see my screen, hopefully. Yeah, I created this one. And let's see what happens if I just add it to the monkey. This is my image texture, and I will add now my new created texture I'm really proud of. There you go, and we will connect it. We have the same UV map, so it will pop up like there. So you see we painted it, it's here. And now I will duplicate this with Command D, Shift D, I always mix it up, Shift D. And I kill this because I want to have another color space. So I will open this and I will go back to my textures and I will take my roughness and I took this here and I will do my Command A, separate as RGB because I want to use it more often just once. So I put it here and I will put it here and I also put it here. There you go. And I will put that to non-color because it's not a colored texture. It's an information for scale. There you go. And then I go with my normal. So I search for my normal map. I will do that first to make it really nicely, like so. And then I put it here. And then we need otherwise another texture for that. So I make this. And I will kill this info because I want to open another one and I always have to click in that folder. It's terrible. So let's open this up and it will, I don't know what will happen. Let's see. Plop up. Ah, because I didn't do my non-color. Let's see what happens if I have it made it the proper way. And yeah, it's better now. Now you see more coming out. So yeah, it's fun. Since I understood this symphony of nodes and using my own textures to create textures, I was really happy. You know, I was like, ooh, that's cool. Especially with the roughness you can play around with. And then your paintings get really physical, you know, because it's not just a 3D extrude and invert and scale and stuff. It's becoming really interesting with the light. So